Man, you can tell they really want a race war real bad before the midterm elections. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Good to see you, buddy. Well, it's not going to happen. And when I say race war, I don't mean they actually want us running around at each other's throats. They just want another George Floyd. They want another Michael Brown. They want another Trayvon Martin. That is so good for elections, and it is election season. And the last time, like in 2020, when they did the George Floyd Summer of Love, they were trying to hype up the Ahmaud Arbery killing to whip in the race war. It wasn't quite working, though. It didn't catch on. It wasn't as hooky as the George Floyd. So they abandoned Ahmaud Arbery, then that whole case, and just focused on George Floyd and got everyone so whipped up. Dave Chappelle did a comedy special about it, and everything. It was great. It was exactly what they needed. They had angry leftists rioting in every major American city, burning stuff, breaking stuff, beating people, killing people, smashing cars, smashing windows. It's great. It's perfect. It's exactly what they like. They want that again. So they're trying to do it. You know, the Carmelo Anthony thing, he's not really a sympathetic figure. And you saw probably more than half of the of Black Twitter actually against Carmelo Anthony, which that does more to help race relations. And that actually set them back. So they've dropped that. So now they're focusing on this guy. They're trying to focus maybe on some ICE shootings because, you know, Alex Preddy and Renee Good, that got people excited for a while, but that was months ago. We've forgotten all about, what was that, last year? Bruce Springsteen already wrote a song about it. So they're hyping up the shooting by ICE in Houston and hyping up the shooting by ICE in Maine. They're just trying, can we get some angry people out there to start burning stuff? We need a riot. And I'm not saying we, I'm saying speaking on behalf of the Devils over there. But the case they're trying to push right now is this Nolan Wells situation. If you're not familiar with it, Nolan Wells is a black kid who was with three of his white friends. He turns up dead, and people are suspicious because the white kids say they don't know anything. Well, we don't have any evidence that anything bad happened or they're part of it or they're lying, or we don't even have the autopsy back. We don't even have a cause of death. But already Al Sharpton's out there. Now, this should make your antenna buzz because when Carmelo Anthony stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf, murdered him at the Frisco track meet, who did his parents call to have the press conference? Did they call a lawyer? Did they call a pastor? No, they called a race hustler. They called sort of the Timu version of Al Sharpton for the Dallas region. And that's who they had the press conference. Some guy with an Action Network. Well, Al Sharpton has an Action Network. And he smells racism. And when Al Sharpton comes out, that's it. It's over. It's a racial thing now, whether you want it to be or not, whether we have any evidence or not. So here he was on, I think this was Thursday.
He was one black with three young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys. Then there's just too many questions that they should not be closing the investigation. Now, I'm from Brooklyn. So I'm a little different than some of y'all. I was built different. My nose is out here, my eyes are here, my brain is here, which means some things I could smell before I could see and before I can figure out. This does not smell right.
Hang on, that doesn't even make sense. I know he's trying to make like a cute little metaphor. Sometimes I can smell things before I see them. Really, the speed of light doesn't travel faster than the speed of smell. I mean, like, even his metaphor doesn't make sense, and he thinks he's saying something profound. Like, I don't know. Like, to dumb people, I think this is what they think sounds smart. You know, like they just read it off a fortune cookie and they repeat it like they're Confucius.
So some people are saying, Reverend, are y'all bringing in race?
Yes, you are.
Well, we're not bringing in race, but we're not discounting race either.
Sure.
Because we don't know what it is. So to tell us don't rush to judgment saying it was racist is fine. But then I'm telling you, don't rush to judgment saying it was not racism, because we do not know. We do know what these parents are being told, and what the parents have now shared with us does not make sense.
Oh, shut up. Of course it makes sense. Good Lord. Yeah, so according to Al Sharpton's worldview, you are racist until proven guilty. Like, he just assumes if you're white, he just assumes you're racist until he has evidence otherwise. Well, that's not really a fair metric, is it? Was there some point in the night where someone was recording them and one of his three friends just looked into the cameras like, hey, by the way, everyone, not racist? Like, I mean, could there even be, how do you prove a negative? How do you prove you're not racist? Like, it's not even possible. So he comes out there, and now it's a racial thing. And it's not just Al Sharpton. They had him, the parents of Nolan Wells were on Good Morning America. I'd played that for you on, I think it was Thursday or Friday's show. And so Michael Strahan is interviewing the parents, but sitting next to them is Benjamin Crump, the attorney for the NAACP. So apparently the parents are now calling race hustlers when their son is found dead. We don't even know if he's murdered. But you have that, and you also have, you're going to hear some great audio coming up in the next segment. This is great. One of the spokesmen for the NAACP, like an assistant to Benjamin Crump, was on News Nation. And Jason Rantz, he's a talk show host out of Seattle, I think, but he has one of these News Nation shows. The back and forth between them is just so eye-opening. You're going to absolutely love it because there is no race war. The races are getting along just fine. And you are going to hear people just desperately, pathetically try and insist there's racial animus where there's not. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. You're listening to The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, Team Blue wants the Nolan Wells case to be the next George Floyd. I don't think America's dumb enough to fall for this anymore. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Just remember, in less than 2 months, President Trump's going to be in Dallas, where I'm at the American Airlines Center for the Republican midterm convention right next door. So WBAP will be there. Be sure to tune in for that. And stick around, because coming up after I do this little audio rundown, you're going to hear from the great Lawrence in Fort Worth, who's a known entity on the James Show. But Jason Rance is another talk show host. He does a pretty good job. He's just like me, but in Seattle. He has a show on News Nation, and he was talking to an assistant to Benjamin Crump, the head attorney for the NAACP, who went on Good Morning America last week with the parents of Nolan Wells, the young black man in Mississippi who was found dead, and he was last known to be with his 3 white friends. And that's all you need. That's all the evidence you need for the race hucksters to come out of the woodwork. But here, I broke this up into 3 easily digestible bites here, because, you know, the assumption is racism. But Jason Rance is asking the same question you're thinking. Well, what evidence do you have that racism had any kind of consideration in this man's death?
Let's be precise, because a kid is dead here. What's the actual evidence? Not a feeling, not a vibe. What is the evidence that anyone has produced that shows race had anything to do with this?
Well, we can talk about the evidence of what's been going on in America the last 400 years.
Talk about this case. Talk about this case.
I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it the way I want to talk about it. Now, if you've asked me to come on to be your guest, and I'm going to talk about it the way I want to talk about it, sir. Now, you asked me.
Listen to that attitude. Listen to that. I mean, do you have any evidence? Well, I have 400 years of evidence. I mean, in this case, I'll talk about how I want to talk about it. Wow. Already combative. Already, if you had evidence, you would have said it right there. So, you know, that was the first question, by the way. So, you know, for the rest of this 8-minute interview, there's going to be no evidence, or she would have led with it.
A question based on what does race have to do with it? We can talk about Fannie Hamer and what she's talked about in Mississippi being a place of oppression. But as we talk about this case and what's important, if you do not want people to speculate, then investigate. The family, I'm not talking about those online, but the family has that questions be answered. And I would like to ask you, do you have a child?
I do not have a child.
Okay, well, I do. I have a 19-year-old daughter. I also had a cousin who was murdered, who was also a football star, who was murdered at 19. And it took us about a month to find his body. So maybe there's not empathy there from you, sir. I'm not sure.
This has nothing to do with a lack of empathy. You're calling for an investigation. Everyone is there anyone who's saying that there shouldn't be an investigation?
It actually does, because you're jumping to race when the family.
I'm not jumping to race. I didn't hire Ben Crump. I didn't get Reverend Al Sharpton there.
Dude, that dude is doing so good. So he asked for evidence, and her comeback is 400 years of slavery, right? That was the first comeback. She also made the point that she knows a lot of people around her who have been murdered, so she's more credible than he is somehow. And also she kind of inferred that he's not credible because he doesn't have a kid and he doesn't have any empathy. What does it have to do with anything? If he had 12 kids or 0 kids, do you have any evidence? Nope. So she gives herself credibility. She attacks his credibility. We have nothing but ad hominems going on here. And she keeps bringing up the empathy parent thing.
Right. Well, the family is actually asking for questions to be answered. The family is actually wanting to know, why did his friends have his keys? The family's actually wanting to know, why did they have his phone? Why did he leave? Why did he say he wanted to stay on the island by himself? These are all justifiable questions.
Agreed.
And I would assume that maybe if you were a parent, maybe you could empathize with wanting to know exactly.
You keep accusing someone of not showing empathy when I'm simply saying, have you seen even any evidence that suggests the police aren't doing an investigation?
All right, Jason, you know what's going on. See, this is a low IQ trick where the person doesn't actually try and win the argument based on the merits of their position, but tries to discredit the person she's arguing with. Now, still, we are now 5 minutes into this interview for this next clip. There is still no evidence presented.
I'd like to actually wait, at least in part, for some of the details to come out, including an autopsy. You certainly concede an autopsy is important here, correct?
Absolutely. Well, the details are that a young 19-year-old black young man, that's okay to say, just like you described it and everything else, went off with his all-white friends and did not return, and none of them say they saw anything. So if you don't want the speculation, then let's use this time to ask his white friends to tell the family what actually happened, because they claim to not know anything. Doesn't sound like something Does it make sense to you? What teenager leaves their phone and stays on an island and doesn't leave with the children that they came with? I
Yeah,
believe the Wells when they
teens
said they
never
told him
do
to leave.
anything that don't make sense. Every time
Well,
they
of
do
course they do,
everything
but
is
you
they
wouldn't
follow
know
exactly
because you're
what you
not
as
a
an
parent.
adult would suggest they do.
Well, you would know because you're not a parent, my love. And I believe the Wells
Well, I
when
was
they
a
see
teenager at some point in my
right,
life,
but
believe
you've
it or
never
not,
been
and
a
I
parent.
understand how teens
Right.
actually act.
But you've never been a parent.
As if whether or not this guy was murdered or it was racial has any bearing on Jason Rance's fertility. Like, what are you even talking about? All right, with that, let's bring in the hero of the day, the great Lawrence in Fort Worth. Welcome back, so Lawrence, go.
Hey, my brother. One thing, I'm in my doctor's office, so I'm going to make this real brief. Let me put it to the listening audience like this. I keep explaining to people, when you look at Al Sharpton, when you look at the NAACP, when you look at Benjamin Crump, you're looking at black thugs who have no credibility in the black community. Race hustlers, that's being politically correct. I could think of a lot of better words to call Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump, but you being politically correct, and I get that. That's your job. But we don't have that respect for Al Sharpton because until black folks start talking about how black folks kill each other, don't insult my intelligence by telling me to look at everything when it involves a black and a white person as race. Race ain't got nothing to do with it. It's moral values. It's common sense. And if this these were his white friends. I got white friends. You gonna tell me that my white friends will kill me? My white friends will take a bullet for me. So how you gonna go there and call this race? No, 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 no. Bottom line of it is, Brother James, is simply this. If this dude was killed, autopsy, forensics, okay, put that on the table before you start talking race. You do a disservice to the argument, the community. You're being outright disrespectful, and you a low-life thug. If every time something happened to a black person and another person of another ethnic group is involved, you holler race. I just can't get it. When you got black folks killing each other at the rate of thousands, and Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump, the NAACP don't say nothing. When you got black women raising predators, single parents, they raising thugs to go out and perpetrate crimes on the community that they live in. If Al Sharpton want to address that, Benjamin Crump want to address that, the NAACP want to address that, none of these race hustlers and pimps want to address the ills in the black community, and they want to make everything about race. I'm going to tell you something right now. If Al Sharpton was standing in front of me, I'd slap him upside his head. If Benjamin Crump was standing in front of me, I'd slap him upside his head. And I feel just like a lot of other black folks feel. Don't keep insulting our intelligence. When black folks stop killing each other, everything will be better. When you got black folks, young black folks, killing each other, shooting each other, Texas, Flint, Michigan, Detroit, California, Washington, D.C., Memphis, when you go all across the world and all across America and you see black folks killing each other at record rates, and then you're going to keep coming up here talking this race stuff, I'm tired of it. It's insulting. Like I said before, and I'm going to give the white listening audience a little heads up. Start calling the black radio stations and calling them out. That's what y'all can do. I do it.
Yeah, just call them. Don't listen to them. Now, hang on real quick. I got to go, Lawrence, but are you just in like your doctor's waiting room and there's like 7 other people that had to hear your rant?
No, we're in the office, me and my wife by ourselves.
Okay, because that would have been cool.
Line of it is, my doctor's office, he's Pakistani, they're Lebanese. I deal with people from all over the world, and race ain't got nothing to do with it. We all treat each other with respect.
Hey,
we all
Lawrence, I love the call. I just got to run. We got to do the news. Tell Sheila I said hi, and everyone loves your comments there. You're going to hear from another positive black influencer coming up next. The Black Southerner has his response to the Wells controversy. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Boy, they really want this Nolan Wells story to be the next George Floyd. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, and you know why. It's good for business. Racial division is good for Team Blue. Whetting the appetite of hatred is good for Team Blue. Now, they say that you're the one that's hateful and you're the one that's divisive and you're the one that's causing racial strife, yet here we are. If you're not familiar with the story, don't worry, we don't know a whole lot about it. Young black guy, 19 years old, Nolan Wells, was on a trip in Mississippi with 3 white friends, shows up dead. Now, in the audio I've been playing in the previous segments, if you're just joining us, you hadn't heard this, but some of the evidence that was brought up that, well, it's really weird that he didn't have his keys in his phone. Well, if he was on an island and they were going swimming, why would he have his keys and his phone in his pocket? Isn't that how you lose them? So I imagine that he probably left them in the car or left them in a backpack. Why would you get separated from friends on a trip? I don't know. Have you never been a 19-year-old boy on a trip? It's probably for one thing. And I don't know that's the case, but there's a lot of reasons. Maybe he was going for that and he didn't want his friends to know because she was ugly, or maybe because it was with a dude and he didn't want him to know, or maybe he went off to buy drugs, or maybe he got really drunk and just wandered into the wrong car, or who knows? If you were a 19-year-old boy and you went on a trip, you know things get out of hand really quick. If you're a 19-year-old girl and you went on a trip, you probably know that. But the response to this are very telling, because Al Sharpton is telling you, Benjamin Crump is telling you, their assistants, they're going on the networks. They're on Good Morning America, they're on News Nation, and they're all saying that it's quite suspicious. They're concerned because it's 3 white kids and a black kid. And so naturally, that is a dangerous situation. Well, that's what is coming out of their mouth. And then you can go to the FBI.gov database and see that that's actually the safest group of people he could be hanging out with. He is safer hanging out with those 3 white boys on average than people of his own race. Some 3 19-year-old black boys. Which one's more likely to kill him? Well, we know the answer to that. Now, here's someone running for Congress in Chicago as a Republican, Christian Maxwell. He had a tweet this weekend that I just saved for you because I knew you would like this. He says, so many black boys have been killed in Chicago by other black boys. We barely see their names. No nationwide calls for justice. No people posting heartfelt videos about them. The moment a black boy goes missing and ultimately loses his life after being seen with his white friends, now we all of a sudden know names, want justice, and are obsessed with holding people who may or may not be guilty accountable. Are we kidding ourselves? This is why people don't take Black America seriously. The only time we want justice is when we think a white person did something wrong to a black person, and that's sick. Well, mostly right. I would also add the Carmelo Anthony situation, where a black person might be held to justice for murdering a white kid. People will raise over $500,000 for him. Also sick, so your point does stand. But that's Christian Maxwell. And I'm seeing more of these outspoken black voices in America. And he's not going to get to be on Good Morning America and give his side. But if you go online, they are out there. Here's another good one. I've played Jamal on the James Show before. His online persona is the Black Southerner. And he had a good explanation on why he's not really worried about this Nolan Wells situation compared to the situation of most young black men.
Black folk love to take wrong and try to make it right. See, these young black men, they need real men in their life. They need their daddies in their life. No, they need their father in their home. They need their daddy in their home. And you have went along with a culture of black single mothers to where you expect the black child to be in a single parent home. That's why preachers don't preach against it. That's why all the churches in the black community don't preach against it. It's considered a norm.
Now, if you're saying, James, that he didn't really talk about the case right there. Yeah, it's setting up the next audio clip. Here's him talking about the case.
Now you're hearing this thing about in Mississippi. They don't have the boy autopsy yet. They don't know what happened other than he went partying. He went on the island. They was just chilling. Nobody knows what happened. First thing black race hustlers are running around here saying, they hung that black boy. They hung him. This is why nobody believes us. Well, you, because I don't peddle that crap. And yes, I say you. I'm not like you. So when you say he ain't like us, he ain't like us, you're right. I'm not like you. I'm a black man who married the mother of his children and in the home with his children.
And that's a flex that we need to hear more of in the future. That's fantastic. So you just heard three voices. That was Jamal, the black Southerner, Christian Maxwell, who's running for Congress in Chicago, and then right before that, you heard Lawrence in Fort Worth in the last segment. You know, I'm really optimistic. This whole George Floyd template that they're trying to execute, it's just not going to fly anymore. 800-288-9227. Now, if they can't get a good angry race right out of that, they're going to try this ICE shooting in Houston. I'll give you updates on that next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. Now, you're going to get a bunch of rain all week, well, the first half of the week. And then after that, you're going to get some consecutive days of 100-degree weather. And this is the type of swings that wears out your roof. And if you already have the slightest compromise in the seal on your roof and you got a little bit of water that's going to get through today, then it's just going to expand when it gets to 100 degrees later. And then when it turns to winter, if that thing is still moist and getting wet, it's going to contract and your roof is cooked. Now, you want to go ahead and find the damage now before it wears out the board, and then it leaks through, and you have even more problems with water getting in your drywall and insulation and black mold and all that. You want to catch it as soon as possible, and the good news is the process by which you catch it, roof inspection from I'm sorry. What am I doing over here? I'm doing Blue Ribbon Roofing, aren't I? If you want to catch it, go to blueribbondfw.com. Blueribbondfw.com. Get John to come out there, check out your roof. He'll get up there, take some pictures. If it's fine, he'll let you know. If not, we'll talk about setting up payments. But it all starts with the free inspection, blueribbondfw.com. Let's talk about this ICE shooting in Houston. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. They're trying to get people upset. They're trying to get some riots. They're trying to get some protests going. And they have to have a predicate so it looks organic. They can't just have people paid to go out in the streets and fill the streets. Plus, if you get a bunch of people worked up emotionally, then you're going to get a whole lot of people out there that you didn't have to pay for because they're just following the crowd and they're a bunch of lemmings, but you have to get them emotional first. You have to get them mad first. So they're really trying with this Nolan Wells thing. And look, I would like to go ahead and reserve like the 1% chance that the white kids did do something bad here. Because, I mean, we don't have any evidence. So maybe it was racially based. Maybe they were just yelling the N-word before they choked him out or something. I don't know. And if we get evidence of that, cool. I'll call it racism when I see it. But in the complete absence of evidence, I think it's absolutely ludicrous and pathetic that so many people were jumping to race. And similar on the shooting that happened with ICE in Houston. Now, if you're not really familiar with that story, I feel like this is going to be harped on for weeks to come. So eventually, maybe you will be. But it sounds a lot like what happened with what was the First Lady, Renee Good shooting, where there was a guy, and he's actually illegal, and he's in a car, and they try to stop him. The guy that was driving rams the ICE vehicle in front of him, almost hitting an ICE officer in the process. I haven't seen video of this, sorry, so I'm just going by reports. And then, and only then, did ICE agents take out their guns and shoot him. He died. So we had a press conference with Rodney Ellis, one of the county commissioners in Harris County, today, like right before the James Show started. He gave us no real new evidence. And also, in the entire press conference, I didn't hear him actually admit that the guy that was shot is an illegal immigrant. Yeah, he had been here for 35 years. Yes, he's a resident. Yes, he has a job. But he was here illegally. So it's not some sort of anathema or miscarriage of justice as ICE was trying to arrest him. Anyway, here's just a small clip from his press conference.
As you know, last Tuesday morning, a Harris County resident was shot and killed by ICE during a federal immigration operation. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was a father, a husband, a small business owner, and a valued member of this community.
Also an illegal immigrant who had absconded and violated our laws every second he's been here for the last 35 years. But go ahead.
This is not the first time federal immigration agents have killed people in the streets. We've seen this unfold in communities across our country, and we know all eyes of the nation happen to be on Harris County right now. There are other cases involved, including one that was just in the news this morning. Our message is clear. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, his life mattered, it had value. His family deserves answers. Harris County residents deserve answers. The American people deserve answers. I must say, on a personal note, I saw two of his sons speak at a memorial service at a labor hall. I can't not imagine having the ability to speak as articulately as those two young men did in the face of dealing with this tragedy.
You know what makes Rodney Ellis a trash human being for doing this at a press conference? Did he give you the point of view of the officers that almost got hit by the car, that almost lost their life? Did he give you the point of view of the officer who had to kill somebody? And we don't take that lightly. Unless you're a sociopath, you're an officer doing his job, you have to kill somebody. You're going to have nightmares. You're going to have problems. It's all kinds of stress and trauma. Did you go get any sympathetic statements from him or his sons or his family or anything from his side? What about the cops? What about the Americans? What about, oh, he was a business owner. Oh, who was he stealing business from? Because if he hadn't been here, and if he had followed the laws and y'all had enforced the laws, there'd be some other American business owner getting all the business he was getting, sir. So every time he spent here was stolen from American citizens. Every dollar he did in business was stolen from American companies. I'm sorry he lost his life. Yes, all lives matter. His life had value. No one's saying the opposite. Can you be any more one-sided? Can you take our side for once? We're Americans, damn it. Ken in Arlington. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, with this killing in supposed alleged killing in Mississippi, are they going to try to turn this spin this into Mississippi Burning Part 2, that 3 white civil activists went down, tried to indoctrinate him into the white way of thinking. He didn't go along, so they killed him.
Yeah, dude. That is their dream. This is what they think about when they have alone time, behind closed doors, and they're trying to. This is what gets them aroused. They just dream of Mississippi burning. They want the whole world to be Mississippi burning right now, because that gives them such a purpose, that makes them the most important people in the world, instead of just dishonest grifters, I guess is the nice way to put it.
Oh yeah, that's what they're gonna spin it. Especially with Sharpton involved, he's gonna spin it into where they tried to indoctrinate him into the white way of thinking. He didn't go along, so they killed him.
Well, and I hate the fact that they just lie to your face every step of the way. Well, we just want to get answers. We're just calling for an investigation. Yeah, everybody wants answers. Yeah, everybody wants an investigation. No, you don't just want answers in an investigation, because that's already happening. You don't call Benjamin Crump from the NAACP, and you don't get Al Sharpton behind a podium if you're just looking for answers. You're trying to gin up racial hostility toward white people, and I'm tired of it. That's all. Great call.
Sure, you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just kind of out of time. Got to do a news break here. Thank you very much. That's Ken in Arlington. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk about Lindsey Graham passing away and Iran war. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, a senator has passed away. Another one we're not too sure about. What is going on? I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. You know, let's talk about the Lindsey Graham situation first, because he passed away, and it's a shock, actually. 71 years old, too young to be dying. When I was a kid, that wasn't too young to be dying. But I've noticed as I get older, that number keeps kind of moving up, right? But here's the report from WFAA.
Tributes and reflections are pouring in from both sides of the political aisle following the sudden death of 71-year-old South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Graham served more than 3 decades in Congress until his passing Saturday night. He had just celebrated his birthday Thursday. Among those to dine with him, Democratic Senator Chris Coons.
When we work together and when I see the good that he wants to do for our country, I'm able to forgive him and find the positives in him.
South Carolina's governor will temporarily appoint someone to fill Graham's Senate vacancy. A special primary election to replace his Republican nomination for this year's midterms will be held August 11th.
And I mean, I guess we can dip in here right now. Look, this is the governor of South Carolina announcing the pick to replace him.
What he has done for us and the world.
They're having a sort of remembrance press conference for him right now with a whole bunch of people behind him. And I believe this lady to the South Carolina governor to his right is Lindsey Graham's sister, who the rumor is that's going to replace him. So South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster is doing the official announcement right now.
Man, for the remainder of his term. Lindsey took care of his little sister in years long departed.
Wow, what good timing. That's exactly what I was talking about. So that's what's going on live in South Carolina right now. The entire Senate hangs in the balance here. Now, she is not going to remain senator very long. He was up for, I read a report earlier today, and I haven't double-checked this, so I think I'm right. But he was up for re-election this year. They've already had the primary, so they're going to have another special election primary to figure out who their candidate's going to be. I don't like putting his sister in there. What are we, a monarchy now? We just have the hereditary passing down of our power to the next family member in line? What the heck is that? But I'm not going to get too worked up about it. It's going to be super temporary. She's only going to be in there for a couple months. It's whatever. The other situation we have affecting the Senate right now is Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, I think he's incapacitated. I don't think he's dead, but he might be on life support. We have no proof of life on this dude for a while. WFAA had a report on his, they released a statement this weekend, and it feels kind of bogus. Anyway, here's the WFAA report.
Meantime, we finally heard from Republican Senator Mitch McConnell about his health.
Did we?
McConnell made his first statement on Sunday since being hospitalized nearly a month ago. The Kentucky senator says he was briefly unconscious after suffering a fall. Then he got pneumonia. The 84-year-old says he's gaining his strength back, but he needs some time to recover.
Right. I saw other reports where in the 911 call that they were administering CPR. I haven't heard the audio of that. I have seen reports of that. But if they're slow walking this, I think we know what's going on. Here's my theory. Maybe you agree. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I think this guy is incapacitated. And I think he might be on his deathbed, or they don't know if he's on his deathbed or not, but he's not fit for public consumption. That's for damn sure. They released a picture with their statement this weekend that was AI generated. So if you weren't already suspicious, that should make you suspicious. And they're just playing hardball here. They're going to ride this out so they don't have to have a special election anytime soon. And they will get to control their destiny just a little bit more for a little bit longer. But the fact that he put out a picture that was AI enhanced, that should tell you it's probably bad case scenario. Not worst case scenario. Bad. I think worst case scenario is he's already dead and they're sort of doing the Weekend at Bernie's thing, propping him up with strings and whatnot. I think he might be on his way out. I think he might, who knows? He might not even be conscious right now. But Mitch McConnell, these are both Republican senators. And if they don't have both of those seats, they don't have a majority anymore. And they don't really need to win any votes. A tie is good enough to win because they have the tie-breaking vote with J.D. Vance as vice president, the official tiebreaker of the Senate. But two of them, they can't even get to 50. So what are they going to get to? 49 to 49? So we're in a interesting cusp here. However, I don't get too exercised about these things because what are they going to do? Not pass the SAVE Act even harder? We're not getting what we want done anyway. And these two guys are two of the worst rhinos that we have up there. Some of the longest serving ones too. Now, I don't want to go too negative on Lindsey Graham. I mean, his body's not even cold yet. But as far as Republicans go, he's the kind of Republican I agree with the least. The ones that love war, they have no interest in balancing the budget. They have no interest in really cutting the government much. They don't even talk about it. Economically speaking, they're just Keynesian more than anything. Like I had this one example of Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois of all places, him and a Democrat wanted to get together and ban TikTok. Well, that's not very free market.
I understand people like TikTok. I would like to keep TikTok running, but not have our data used by the Communist Chinese.
How will you vote on this?
I don't know yet. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I don't know yet. See, he's one of those. I don't celebrate anyone's death, and I don't dismiss it. He's an important human being, whatever. But, yeah, the bigger issue is what happens with the Senate now. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you'll get an update on the Iran war from Wes Martin. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, let's find out what's going on with the Iran war on the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host James Parker. Remember the WBAP morning show from whenever you wake up until Matlock takes over at 9. My next guest has been an essential source in helping us keep up with what's going on in the Iran war. Coming back on, Wes Martin. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so what we're hearing today is Donald Trump says, well, we have the Straits of Hormuz now, and it's wide open, and Iran can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it? Yeah. So what's next in the fight? I mean, does Iran have anything to fight back with, or are they just hunkering down and waiting? All right, we're talking with retired Colonel Wes Martin about the Iran war situation. So what about boots on the ground? Now, nobody wants our boots on the ground, but can we get Israel and or Saudi Arabia to do that? Can we maybe go in as a coalition with them? Do you think we could talk either one of those countries into helping us out? So if I put you in charge, Wes Martin, how do you fix this? All right. Well, I was hoping for something a little more optimistic, but I'll take the truth over optimism. Wes Martin, how do we find your work online? All right. Thank you very much, sir. Coming up next, you are being robbed via your tax dollars for adult daycares. Adult daycares. Yes. Adult daycare. It's not just the Leering Center. It's not just the hospice center. There is no break from the grift. Nick Shirley's next expose coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. The theft and fraud of your tax money is bottomless. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now, if you're regular listeners to WBAP, you've heard about some of these other ones. Nick Shirley came out with a video the day after Christmas last year, and that's the one that introduced you to the Leering Center. We all love that, right? That's going to be a pop culture thumbtack in the map for a year to come. And it sort of opened up this new expose genre of regular people going up and showing you how your taxpayer dollars are being wasted all over the country. Now, it started out with Nick Shirley doing the daycares, and then he did more on hospice and home health care and medical transportation, and he just kept showing you grift after grift after grift after grift. And he showed you, and started out in Minneapolis, then he went to California, and then you saw John Rocker doing it in Ohio, and then CBS News actually got into it, and they sent a reporter out to go bust a bunch of people who were doing some obviously fake things, getting millions of dollars and having fake buildings with empty parking lots to show for it. Well, then another one came out over the weekend. This time, Nick Shirley goes up to New York City. New York City! And shows you the grift of two things, pharmacies and adult daycares. Now, you may be thinking, what the hell's an adult daycare? I thought daycare was for children. Well, think about it. When people get too old and they sort of revert back to being a child, you know, they can't feed themselves, they can't take care of themselves, they can't drive a car, they have to wear a diaper. Daycare comes back on the radar if you live long enough. And so now you probably see what's happening here. You have people who are willing to break the law, and they can lie about just about anything. Yeah, we're taking care of some people. We're taking care of some children. Okay, here's some money for daycare. Okay, we're taking care of some people who are dying. Here's some money for hospice. We're taking care of people who can't leave their house. Okay, here's some money for home health care system. We're taking care of adults who can leave their house. Okay, here's an adult daycare center. There really is no end. You know, you get accused of not having empathy, you know, not being empathetic. Bro, where's the empathy for the taxpayer on this one? How much empathy is too much? I've got to pay for your grandfather to be entertained during the day while you're at work. So the difference in this one is Nick Shirley has teamed up with Dr. Oz, who's now the head of the Department of Health and something or other. I don't think is it Health and Human Services, or it's something under that. So he goes out there, and Dr. Oz has TV experience. So they make this into, I don't know, almost like a 2020 bit. So here's the intro for it. Before I would play you just an actual clip of Nick Shirley roasting some guy in front of his empty. Thank you. Dr. Oz is head of Medicare and Medicaid services. All right, here's Oz and Shirley.
This is a war on fraud, the likes of which you have never seen.
I feel like Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere, man. I've been to California, Iowa, Ohio, Minnesota, today, New York City, Flushing, Queens. We take you to the front lines wherever we're going. Here, social adult daycare centers, the biggest fraud you've never heard of. I walk through here and I wonder, how is it possible that you would have this many pharmacies in such close proximity to each other? Are we gonna start counting? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got one here.
One right there.
Number two, look at this. This is the durable medical equipment supplier. Those are all the things they sell, wheelchairs and automatic scooters. These are expensive.
All right, let me pause this and pause the very tense fiddle player there. What you can't see is they are on a block that has the colored awnings coming off of the retailed front that looks like an old downtown because there's no space between the buildings. It's just brick building, brick building, brick building, and it's just little one-off stores. And almost every one is either a pharmacy or an adult daycare center. They show you, they walk through about 2 blocks of it, just in this intro here. And the other thing that is on all of these awnings is Chinese symbols, pictograms of some sort. I don't know if they're Chinese, Korean, Japanese. I don't know. I'm just some ignorant farm boy from 2 hours east of here. But it ain't American. So what we have here is foreigners coming over here, getting on the dole, lying about how many people they're taking care of, and taking your money in the process. We go back
we have another pharmacy. I'm losing track. Yeah, it's like a game show. You get a pharmacy, you get a pharmacy.
And we have a all-life social daycare right here.
Another social adult daycare center. But over here, we have a bunch more across the street.
Across the street.
And I mean, again, more pharmacies.
More pharmacies.
This business entity, this social adult daycare center, which I'm pretty sure none of your listeners have ever heard of, right? He generated $2.5 billion over the last 3 years in New York State, of which almost all, 2.1 billion, was right here in Flushing, Queens, and Brooklyn next door, and the surrounding areas. You go 10 miles to Long Island from here, doesn't exist, doesn't happen. So if you're me, and I'm supposed to protect the federal tax dollars, it makes me very concerned. Something's wrong.
Hey, bro, you're in charge. Don't be making a video. Put these people in jail. All right, now that was just from the intro, the sort of hyped up Dr. Oz in it. Coming up next on the James Show, you're going to hear Nick Shirley talk to a guy in one of these adult daycare centers, just lying through his teeth. But before we come back, I want you to go ahead and put a number in your head. He's going to be at a daycare center that looks like a little one-story skinny building that could easily be like just one of the one-off stores you see in the mall. Not an anchor store, but like if you went into a Gadzooks or a Camelot, or I'm just trying to think of old 90s references. What was another store? Like a 579, if you've been in one of them. It's about the size of that. So it's the size of, like if a Journeys wasn't cut off halfway and went all the way back. That's how big it is. I want you to guess how many people they have signed up for regular attendance at this daycare. Just go ahead and think of a number, because when we come back from the break, I'm going to tell you the real number, and we'll see how close you are. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you'll find out more about how your taxpayer dollars are being wasted on all kinds of stupid programs, even in New York City, next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Man, they can't throw away your money fast enough. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. You're home for the WBAP morning show. Check out the crew when you wake up. So Nick Shirley came out and did another expose, and he's done a few of these now. And I wish they would all go as viral as the first set that he did the day after Christmas with the Leering Center and the Somalis and everything that entailed. But this is something that isn't limited to Nick Shirley. You've seen other people do these exposés. You've seen a lot of them here in North Texas with people going and knocking on doors with H-1B scams, with daycare scams. In fact, we had the great daycare scam video. I think that was 2 months ago from Sarah Gonzalez. He went and busted a dude in a rose gold BMW i8 Roadster with the, is that the butterfly doors? What do they call the doors that come up like a Lamborghini? Such a sweet car, but he was in front of an empty building that was claiming to be a daycare taking care of hundreds of little kids at taxpayer expense. And this one, I want you to guess how many adults are signed up for this one building, this one room that doesn't look like it can hold a whole lot. If you had me guess how many people would be allowed in there before the fire marshal shut it down, I would say somewhere between 65 and 100. So here he is talking to a little Asian-looking fella and asking about the numbers here because they don't seem to be adding up.
Because then we were doing like some numbers and it said you guys made like $12.9 million in 2024, and which is a lot of money, and then like $2.1 million for transportation companies. So like you guys billed $12.9 million, and then out of that $12 million, 10 was for adult daycare and 2 was for transportation. Yes. And so they're saying they're giving kickbacks.
No, we don't. Because of where? Who
Where?
told you that?
Well, the other daycare, because they didn't want to give us kickbacks.
Yeah, because we don't offer kickbacks.
No kickbacks.
No kickbacks.
Do you think it's true that a lot of these daycares are like committing fraud?
I heard some of the daycares are doing fraud, but we don't do fraud thing.
Onto
Where
daycare?
do you come from?
Where'd I come from?
Yes.
Oh, I come from around here.
Yes.
We're just concerned about where our tax dollars are going. So, and how come you guys are the daycare that receives the most amount of money here in Flushing, Queens?
We have a lot of members.
How many members do you guys have?
I don't have to tell.
All right, before he says, how many members do you think they have? This is the killer part of the audio. Cameron, how many do you think they have? Garrett, how many do you think they have? We'll see. We'll see if you're right.
Because here it says you guys have 7,899.
Where did you get this information?
Oh, it's actually from the public databases of CMS and HHS.
Do I have to tell you the number?
But this place doesn't look like it can hold 7,000 people.
Can I have an ID or something? You're asking me some about.
Well, this is public information because it's public tax dollars that you guys are receiving.
I don't have to tell you, right?
7,899 registrants in the adult daycare system that you're paying for with your tax dollars. If you're not interested in this story, you're a fool. This is your money being set on fire by foreigners in New York City who do not care about you, who do not care about your country, who do not care about your family, who do not care about the finances here. They have no allegiance to this country. They don't care if it burns to the ground. They're going to come here. They're going to bilk millions out of your butt while you're going to work and putting in money and breaking your back. They are taking your money, doing absolutely nothing, lying to your face about it, calling you racist for questioning it, and then they're going to take all that money and they're going to go home. You should care. I mean, if you don't care, whatever. Just give me all your money. If this doesn't bother you, stop by we're at the American Airlines Center. I'll meet you downstairs by the lobby door in the PNC Plaza, and you can just hand me all your cash. Just go to the bank, withdraw all your money, instead of giving it to these idiots, help a brother out. 7,899 people registered at this one adult daycare at a regular sized building that looks like it might be at most 2,000 square feet. How bad does the grift have to be? Make no mistake. Every single government program looks like this. Every single government program has fraud with no incentive of catching the fraud. If this was a private business and they were being bilked out of billions of dollars like this, they would go out of business. But a government program has no incentive. In fact, they have the opposite incentive. The more money you can waste, the more money you can spend, the more they can go back to Congress and say they need more, and they will get it. Because no one is dedicated to cutting spending. No one has the incentive to cut this. So how does this all end? It's not going to end until you and your fellow Americans demand that all politicians that you vote for run on the policy of eliminating entitlements. All of them. All of them. Be consistent. If you think there is this much fraud, or if you think you have been shown that there is this much fraud just in providing daycare for senior citizens who have nothing else to do, what do you think Social Security looks like? What do you think Medicare and Medicaid look like? The student loan system, we're finding out that millions and millions of people who are getting financial aid are ghost students. They don't even exist. People just got a fake ID. They applied for it. They filled out all the right paperwork and they got the money. You know, people say that, well, Parker, if we get rid of Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, how are we going to take care of these people? I don't know how we afford to take care of these people with these programs. It is absolutely breaking us. You are getting a 4% pay cut this year because of the overspending in D.C. That doesn't concern you? You're getting a 4% pay cut and everything you have in the bank, 4% of it's just getting stolen and given to these people, given to foreigners and fraudsters. This is like my favorite metaphor that I use on the show is imagine if we had a federal program to buy people pizza, but we found out that the federal government was spending $20,000 per pizza. And then if you try to cut that program, you're going to have a bunch of butthurt people who think they're empathetic, who think they're caring, who are mostly just virtue signaling for their friends, saying we can't take these pizzas away from people or they will starve. How on earth will we feed poor people if we get rid of this program? That's exactly what we're doing here. We are vastly overpaying. Most of that is being squandered. You're getting terrible results. And the fact that people are hesitant to cut these programs is nothing but a big sign of two things: economic illiteracy, which is an indictment of our education system, and the amazing power of propaganda, which kind of makes me optimistic. If we can just turn around the propaganda machine and stop that, all these little lemmings will just do what we say. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. And yes, I know, a lot easier said than done, but let me try and be optimistic here. But if you're not a guy that wants to cut all of these programs, all the daycare programs, all those food stamp programs, all the home health care, the hospice, the medical transportation, all that, you're kidding yourself and you're killing us. All right, ZZ Top is coming to town October 4th. They're going to be with Cheap Trick at the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory. Get tickets and information now at livenation.com. Stick around. Coming up next on The James Show, we have some local news that requires your attention. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Just trying to swim through the international news of the Iran war, the national news of a dead senator and a kind of a missing senator, to some more local stuff that directly affects you, or at least indirectly affects you. And when we look at what's going on locally here, we have a new law, or we have new enforcement of existing laws that are in response to some people feeding the homeless downtown. Now, I didn't know this was a new issue, except for I saw it on my new best friend in City Council, Kara Mendelson, had tweeted about this over the weekend, or I guess X'd about it. That doesn't sound right. Y'all don't mind if I keep calling it Twitter, right? I still call it Wet and Wild over there in Arlington, and y'all all understand what I'm saying. So she put this on Twitter, and there is a bunch of volunteers who want to help with the homeless, and they do. Twice a month, they go to downtown Dallas, and on the plaza adjacent to City Hall, they hand out meals to homeless people. Now, they've been doing this for a while, and the city is cracking down on it. Why is the city cracking down on it? Well, because they don't like the effect it has when there is a crowd of people trying to get one of the 200 sandwiches, hot meals, bottles of water, canned goods. So they've started going out there and enforcing it. You can't block the street. You can't block the sidewalk. You have to have a permit unless you're on the right piece of land. And so the complaint has been, hey, we're just trying to help homeless people. You don't have the right to prevent us from giving someone food. And look, on an individual basis, that totally makes sense. If I have a hot dog and I see a hungry person and I'm walking past him and I say, hey, you want a hot dog? He says, yes, that's not a crime. There's no victim there, whatever. Now, I understand the city's part here where you can't set up a tent, you can't set up a station, you can't block a sidewalk, you can't cause traffic problems. And the city wants to steer them into programs. So I think they are using this whole, well, you can't block traffic thing as sort of an excuse to say, hey, we need these people in our programs so we can give your money away. You know, if you have your own food, how are we going to rob you via the Leering Center? Oh, man. I think a lot of people just wake up when I say something like that. They're like, wait a second. If the private sector is taking care of all these people, we're not going to be able to fleece you through all these social programs and get our kickbacks and get our voters and get our... Because something else that they're doing out there, voter registration. So I think these two stories are connected. If you weren't listening in the last segment, Nick Shirley has a new expose where he was showing you these adult daycare centers. There's like 8 of them on one block in this immigrant section of New York City, and they're quite obviously gaming the system because there's almost 8,000 people that are signed up to go to this one center that's about the size of an average baby gap. It's just not believable. Steve in Weatherford, you're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey James, maybe it'd be a good time maybe it'd be good to have a show one day about the law called QUI, second word, TAM, Quitam. It allows a citizen to file a lawsuit against fraudsters like the daycare center, and the government sees a bunch of fraud. The government takes over the case, and the citizen who reported or filed the initial secret lawsuit with the federal courts is to keep a 15 to 30% of the fraud going on, so you can make a ton of money. The bureaucrats within the Beltway in D.C., you can see on the internet, they do it. They all taking home $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 when they find fraudsters going on.
Bro, Steve, you're so right. You're so right, and they're not going to do it because that would work. I think you get this. But the reason they don't do this is there's a lot of people who are inured in the system. They are a part of it, and tearing this down takes power away from them. If you don't have this money to throw around, because everybody that works at these nonprofits, or everybody that works at the Leering Center, or everybody that works at the daycare, everybody works at all these other grifts, they are all voting for Team Blue. All the people that sign up for these are voting for Team Blue. All of the parents who are getting kickbacks for letting the Leering Center use their child's identification in order to share in the grift, they're all voting for Team Blue. If you take that away from them, you take away their power. They don't want it to stop. This is why they're always trying to expand it. And even as bad as it gets, they're always trying to expand it. As bad as the grift is in Medicare, what do they want now? Medicare for all. As bad as the grift is in the Social Security system, what do they want? Well, they want to lower the Social Security age. They want to expand benefits. They want to expand qualifications of benefits. This has nothing to do with them unable to get a hold of the fraud. It is quite literally built into the system. And Steve, what you're saying will work, and that's why they won't do it.
And that kind of fraud goes all the way to the Attorney General of Minnesota, to the governor, and that's why they turned a blind eye and allowed it to continue.
Yeah, I think we can't just put this all on the Democrats, because the Republicans have a winning issue here, and you got to wonder, well, why don't they jump all over it? Why don't they go ahead and do something to take power away from their opponents on Team Blue? And the only good answer for that is that it's not politically popular for them to do so.
Agree.
Well, and this is the quagmire we're in. Great call. I didn't know it was called Qui Tom, so thank you for educating some of us there. That's Stephen Weatherford. Appreciate it, sir. All right, coming up next, you're going to hear from a comedian that's coming to town. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but you're going to like him. He's Ryan Hamilton. And he's not like an expressly right-wing comment. He's actually what we call a clean comic. He just does a bunch of funny stuff that doesn't require dirty words or improper subjects, and it's not dumb white people for an hour and a half. You're going to love this guy. I love him, and he's coming to town. Maybe you'll find a new comedian you like coming up next. Ryan Hamilton's coming on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Texas homeowners, are you thinking about buying or selling a new home? Because one of the cool things that Rhino Shield can do for you is get you more out of that home. James Parker here for Rhino Shield. You know, if you get Rhino Shield, if you have like some paint chipping, you understand that that's going to count against you when people are shopping and thinking how much they're willing to spend on it. So if you need to touch it up anyway, go ahead and use Rhino Shield. It'll look better. You can put it on a low monthly payment, so you don't even have to come out of pocket much. You just have to make a couple of payments before that house gets sold. The sale of the house will cover the rest of it. You can wash off that note, and you can get more money. If you're about to sell, this Rhino Shield situation might just pay for itself. So don't just trust me. Go to the website, rhinoshielddfw.com, and look what they can do for houses. Because it used to be all cool to be like earth tones and have a bunch of reds and browns and oranges. And now all the cool kids are doing the neutral tones. They're doing the grays and the whites and the blacks and trying to, I don't know about fashion. I don't know about home decoration. I don't know about the color wheel. I just know if your wife is hounding you for it or your real estate agent is telling you should do it, maybe you should do it. So look into Rhino Shield, get the best deal, get the best product, up your resale value because it comes with a 25-year transferable warranty, and you will thank me later. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. Hey, let's have a laugh on the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. You're home for the WBAP morning show, which Hal J could be a comedian. He could easily just convert into being a comedian. But I want to introduce you to a guy, and he's going to be on the show next week. He's coming to town next week as well. His name, Ryan Hamilton. Now, Ryan Hamilton is the guy that you may have seen floating around in the clips on your social media feed, but if you're not as terminally online as me, I think his Netflix special is either already out or about to be out. I haven't seen it, but I did pull a clip of it for you because this was a new clip I actually hadn't heard from him. Now, he's a guy who's a clean comic. And look, dirty comics can be funny. Eddie Murphy, hilarious. Cat Williams, hilarious. You know, that's fine. There's a place for that. But there's a special skill, like there's a special level of admiration we should all have for the clean comics. Because a lot of what the dirty comics do is like, ooh, he said a funny word, or ooh, he said something really mean about someone, or ooh, he said a naughty word, or ooh, F-bombs are funny. No, you actually have to do something in the content that is cerebral to make people laugh in clean comedy. And so he has that going for him. Also, he doesn't hate America. He doesn't hate the flyover country conservative white people, just doesn't openly pick on them like that. In this one, he is doing a comedy special, taping this in New York, and right in front of their face, very politely making fun of New Yorkers with a smile.
New Yorkers have no clue, Where are you from? Idaho. Why? That's what it feels like. Why? I don't know. That's where I done been born. That's why. That's where God done birthed me. And then they'll try to connect. They go, oh, I know it. You know it? Congratulations. It's a state in your country. You should know it. And then they go, no, I know it. This is what you tell me. It's in the Midwest. No, it isn't. And I know there are people in here right now going, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's how New Yorkers are. I'm from there. I'm telling you, you're wrong. And you're still like, he doesn't get it. You have created geography that does not exist. If you're a New Yorker, it's New York, LA, and the Midwest. That's all there is in your head. It's just, yeah. It's just one big red state. Everything past Jersey is corncob pipes and coveralls. In a New Yorker's fantasy, Idaho, every day I put down my banjo so I can harvest all the taters in my backyard, I'm just waiting for the dinner bell to ring so I can go in and watch some hee-haw with my ma.
Now, I find that hilarious because I've had to spend some time working in New York. I never lived there, but when I worked in satellite radio, I had to go up there and work for like a week at a time. And so you kind of, you wake up, you walk 6 blocks to go to work, and you find out how terrible it is if it's raining or if it's really cold or if it's snowing or if it's hot. It's like walking to work or taking a bike or it's just terrible because like your car is its own little climate thing. But I kind of went through that too because when you go to New York, if you have to work there and just hang out with people and not be a tourist, not be a visitor, you start having to represent Texas. And I know you don't think I have an accent. That's because you have an accent too. So we just sound normal to each other. But apparently when you and I go up to New York City, we sound like Yosemite Sam. Like I think that's what they hear when we talk.
New York City!
I'm like, oh, damn varmints got them Yankee boot dust on my boots. So they say really dumb things to you. They're like, can I call you Tex? No, you can't call me Tex, Josh. Well, why not? Did anyone ever call you Tex growing up? Josh, think about it. I'm from Texas. We're all from Texas. Like all of my friends in my little play group and we're at recess. What are we going to all call each other Tex? They really just act like you're from the moon. Sometimes when you show up anywhere further than New Jersey, it's just like some distant mystery to these people. It's great. I can't wait to have this guy on the show. He's only going to be able to call in and talk for a little bit, but I'm really impressed by these guys because it is a really difficult needle to thread, being both a clean comic, being both a comic with traditional values and all that, and not crapping on the people who are considered Nazis by the folks who are going to be booking you or setting up your Netflix special or whatnot. It's an uphill swim. Here's another good one. Hey, Garrett, you did such a good job getting Ryan Hamilton on the show. Let's see if we can get Pete Holmes on the show. Now, he talks about he's like me. He's tries to be a good person. He just lets cuss words slip every now and again. But one of my favorite bits from him is God versus nothing.
Some people think God created the universe. Some people think nothing created the universe, which is the funniest guess. And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing. That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove, or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything, that's a pretty magical nothing, you guys.
Love it. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're playing Dead or Alive. 2 tickets to see Motley Crue. They're on their Carnival of Sins tour coming to Dos Equis Pavilion September 10th. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. But if you want to try and win a pair of tickets from the old James Show, call in right now. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Today's category, Vincents. Famous people named Vincent. Dead or Alive next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome. You're just in time for Dead or Alive on The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, don't forget, President Trump's coming to Dallas at the American Airlines Center right here for the Republican midterm convention. They haven't done this before. I bet you they do this again, but it's going to be next door here to the WBAP studio. So you want to be sure to be tuned in on September 9th and 10th. WBAP will be in the building for you. But today, it's time to play Dead or Alive. Thank you, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to today's edition of Dead or Alive. We're playing for 2 tickets to see Motley Crue, their Carnival of Sins tour, coming to Dos Equis Pavilion on September 10th. Same day. You can go to this RNC convention and then go hit up Motley Crue afterwards. But in honor of lead singer Vince Neil, today's edition of Dead or Alive is going to be Famous Vincents. Famous Vincents. I'm going to give you 10 Vincents. You have to tell me if they're dead or alive. If you get it right, you stay. If you get it wrong, I go to the next caller. We start with Jack in Dallas. Hey, Jack, you ready for Dead or Alive?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to start off Vincent D'Onofrio. A lot of you people know him on Law and Order. I know him as Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket. Is he dead or alive?
He is dead.
No, he's alive. Vincent D'Onofrio, 67 years old. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it, bud.
Thank you.
Brent, Lake Weatherford, you ready?
I guess I'll give it a go. Thank you.
That's all I can ask. Next one. He's a painter. Vincent Van Gogh, dead or alive?
I can get this one. He's dead.
Died in 1890, so yeah. Vincent Price from Thriller and a bunch of other stuff, dead or alive?
Oh, man, he was great. He's dead.
Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers, dead or alive?
I guess he's alive.
Good guess. Vince McMahon, who made the WWE and all that, dead or alive?
Alive.
Vince Clarke, he was originally in Depeche Mode and then moved on to Erasure. Is he dead or alive?
Okay, he was in what?
Depeche Mode and Erasure.
Is that a movie?
No. These are synth pop bands from the 80s.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm going to say he's dead.
He's alive. 66 years old. Well, stumped you. You're not big into synth pop from the 80s, sir?
I'm 74-year-old rock and roller with the same rock band for 52 years, man.
I hear you on that one. All right, well, it's understandable you didn't know Depeche Mode. Thank you, Brent. Mitch in Frisco, you ready?
Yeah, let me sip this margarita. Okay, go.
Hang on. Take another sip.
Okay.
Okay, now we go. All right, Vince Lombardi, former coach of the Green Bay Packers, dead or alive?
Oh, he's dead.
Died in 1970. Vince Gill, the country singer who's won a bazillion Grammys, dead or alive?
He's alive.
He's alive, and he is 69.
Favorite number?
You said it, not me, Mitch. All right, finally we have the great quarterback from the Texas Longhorns, Vince Young, dead or alive?
Alive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mitch. You nailed it. Take another sip of your margarita. You just won 2 tickets to see Motley Crue Carnival of Sins tour. They're going to be at Dos Equis Pavilion on September 10th. For the rest of us, we got to go to livenation.com. But Mitch and Frisco, good job. I'm going to put you on hold. Regular Garrett will get your information and we'll email you the tickets.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for playing. This has been today's edition of Dead or Alive. All right, now, since we have Motley Crue as the tickets, can I tell my Vince Neil story? I think I've only told this once on the James Show before. Garrett, do you remember the Vince Neil story? Oh, no, he's giving away the tickets now. Sorry about that. He's talking to Mitch and Frisco. All right, I'll just tell you. Sorry if you've heard this before. I think I've only told it once, so you probably haven't heard it. But let's go back in time. I think, if I remember correctly, I was working at a radio station, not this one, but a different one here in Dallas. It's a big station, and we used to have bigger budgets back in 2003. But for our Christmas party, we were going to have the big listener Christmas party that everybody go to, and then we have the company Christmas party where we just rent out some big ballroom in a hotel. And so Motley Crue was playing the big station party that we were going to have, and then Vince Neil was going to do like a little solo set just for the party that we were having for our company. So how baller is that? And so here I am, I'm like, 26 years old, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to go to a Christmas party with Vince, like he's going to be in our crew. This is going to be awesome, man. We are going to have like chicks. There's going to be like drinking, and there's probably going to be some people doing drugs, and there's going to be all kinds of like nudity. And it turns out that by the time 2003 rolled around, Vince Neil was sober, y'all. Vince Neil doesn't drink anymore, and he doesn't go to strip clubs. He doesn't stay out until 4 a.m, and he doesn't. So we just had a nice evening at the Sheraton around the corner. It's not too far from here, just 2 exits up. And I remember us talking about economics for a while. So just go ahead and look, it was a good time. He was a great guy. He was super nice, pretty smart guy. His wife was really cool too. I just didn't think that, it would be 11 o'clock at night and I'm thinking about going home early because I'm tired about talking about Keynesian economics to Vince freaking Neil. So yeah, that's my Vince Neil story. Not a good one, is it? All right. 800-288-9227. No, do not call in and tell me your Vince Neil story. I don't want to hear about it. Coming up next, things are so bad in Scotland, the resistance is having to meet in the woods. No, this isn't Braveheart, but it's getting close. Also, update on the Frisco Indians and the library situation. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. You're home for the WBAP morning show. Let me try and squeeze in two quick stories before I have to get out of here. One of them is the Scottish resistance is meeting in the woods. You know they're having problems over in Great Britain. And you know that the ability to speak out against the problems isn't as easy over there as it is here. If you make a social media post and it's reported and it is found to be hateful, police will come to your house, knock on your door, and give you a citation. So you can't communicate over social media to an entire group. So what do? You have to meet in the woods. And so how do you get your updates? What's going on? Hey, well, my daughter was harassed by a guy coming home. He got arrested, but it didn't get reported in the news. And some other guy will raise his hand. They were like, well, on the same street 2 days before that, my daughter reported that some guy grabbed her arm. And so they're putting the pieces together. And this is how they now have to talk about the invaders in their own country. The natives of Scotland have been totally betrayed by their government. Their government is now on side of the invaders that are abusing and harming them. So they have a system of government that is now antithetical to them. And can we go ahead and tap the brakes on all this immigration and on bringing the third world here, on bringing in the rape culture and the hateful culture that is driving this problem in Scotland before we have to start meeting in the woods? Because I don't want to have to be meeting you people in the woods to do the James Show. I don't want to have to get like a bullhorn and have to stand on some hickory stump to tell you jokes about this. But here they are. Just to give you an example, just imagine a bunch of Scottish people, and they're meeting in the woods. It looks like in Braveheart. When they start the revolution, they have to go live out in the woods. That's where they're at now. They're about at Braveheart.
There are reoffenders everywhere. The guy in Glasgow was bailed. The other week there, he was bailed. A couple of nights ago, there was another violent rape, 100 metres away. Was it the same guy or was it a different guy? See if they would just be transparent with the public and stop lying. Fucking right, mate. Now, it's not beat cops. We don't have any problem with beat cops. They're just doing a job. They're the custodians of the peace.
So this is what it's come to? This is where we're at now? I mean, are we going to have to start a resistance movement here? Or are we going to stop this now? Are we going to wait till we have to meet in the woods like our damn forefathers did? Is this what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to start militias? We're going to have to start keeping people updated? Or here's what we can do before it gets to that point. We can start voting in better people. And I don't mean Republicans. Definitely don't mean Democrats. But anybody who supports this, anybody who's not actively trying to reverse this, anybody who's not saying part of their platform is remigration, they don't get your vote from here on out. Remigration or not, or I vote for somebody else. And if you're not sure, then don't vote for them. Ask them if they don't give you an answer, don't vote for them. Say, I need to hear the words. I need to hear deport coming out of your mouth. I need to hear the end of the H-1B visa program coming out of your mouth. I need this stopped. I need this reversed, and I need it now. Not the promise of, well, if you vote for me again, maybe I'll support it. No. If you haven't supported in the past already, you're out. If not, I'll just see you in the woods. We'll just stock up on guns and ammo, and I guess we'll have to do this our damn selves. The other one, let's bring this back home now. Similar situation. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Nick's Right from the Nick's Right podcast. Got a couple. He gets these regular updates, and I hear them too. So I was relating to this one pretty hard. He was relaying a story one of his audience members told him about going to the library. And they thought, well, look, I went to this one library in Frisco, and it was just absolutely clogged and swarmed with third worlders, not speaking English, smelling horrible, acting bad, not following the rules, making the entire experience untenable for me and my young children. So they live in Collin County, but they had the same experience at a Plano library, and I think it was a McKinney library. And so how far are we going to let this go? Are we going to just let this fester until we're meeting in the woods?
Got a message from a parent in Frisco, Texas, and surrounding area. They went to a local library, and this is kind of what they've been having to deal with. I have a young baby, so we spend a lot of time at the libraries in Frisco, Allen, and Plano, Texas. Unfortunately, I've noticed a recurring issue that has made several visits unpleasant. On multiple occasions in both Frisco and Allen, Texas libraries, I've seen very large family groups who appear to be of Indian descent based on their traditional clothing. They arrive with numerous children from newborns to preteen who were allowed to roam the children's play areas with little to no adult supervision. The play spaces designed for children under 5 quickly become chaotic, making it difficult and, at times, unsafe for younger children to play. During one visit, I found myself repeatedly reminding several children to use gentle hands around my baby because there didn't appear to be any intervention from the adults present. Eventually, I felt it was best to leave. A few weeks ago at the Plano Library, I witnessed another concerning interaction involving an older woman who also appeared to be of Indian descent and was wearing traditional Indian attire. She walked over to a child who was already playing with a toy, took it from that child, handed them a different toy, and told them, "This is for you now," so her granddaughter could have the original toy. Wow. Another parent was understandably upset. I later heard from others that this individual had reportedly been spoken to multiple times about similar behavior, yet it continues. I love the disclaimer she gives at the end. Watch this. To be clear, my concern is not with anyone's ethnicity, culture, or manner of dress. I'm only including those details because they are a part of the incidents I witnessed and help distinguish the situation I'm referring to. My concern is with repeated behavior that disrupts a shared public space and negatively affects other families. That was a parent's account whenever she goes to libraries in Frisco, Allen, and Plano, Texas. We are screaming about the fraud and the people who come here who don't want to assimilate. They just want to bring their culture and their third world country over to our first world country. Why would you want to change a first world country to a third world country? Makes zero sense.
You know, the tough part about this is the racial angle. They are always going to have the racial angle, and you just have to straight up ignore it. You know why? Because there is no third world country that can send white people over here. So that we have no ability to demonstrate that we're not judging people by the color of their skin, and we're not only doing this because they're non-white. It just so happens that there's not a third world country that's white. Do you remember the 15, 20 years ago when National Geographic publicly said they're going to stop showing natives with bare breasts? Do you remember that? Because when we were kids, that was the jam. You could go to the library, even in middle school, you go get a National Geographic and look at the ladies. All right. Now, it's something stupid that 12-year-old boys thinks is the coolest thing in the world. But the comeback to that at the time, I remember talking about this on radio, is, look, National Geographic isn't being racist by showing only brown and other indigenous people of color. There's just not one tribe of white people on planet Earth where the chicks are running around topless. And if there was, I would highly encourage National Geographic to go take photos of it, but there's not. And that's not because we're awesome or because we're better or, look, white people are superior, there goes the Hitler again. No. It just happens to be white people are very small. We're like 9% of the world's population. The part of the world we come from got civilization and spread it out through all of what do we call that? Whitedom? That sounds so stupid. Caucasoidistan or something. Sorry, I cracked myself up there. We just spread it out, and we don't have any people. We don't have any white tribes in a grass skirt running around throwing spears at our food. It's not a slight on other races. It's not racism to say that. But if they say, well, you're only against bringing the third world here because you're racist, that's an argument you can never disprove. These people see race in everything only because it helps their cause, not because it's true. You just have to ignore it. All right, that's going to about do it for the show today. Thank you very much for hanging out. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. But if you need more James Show action, I highly encourage you to go check out the James Show podcast, whether you're on Spotify or podcast or all the apps. And also, I have a bunch of fun videos on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all the things. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.